The Ravens and Bills enter this matchup after thoroughly defeating their wildcard opponents, the Steelers and the Broncos, respectively. So now we get to see the two leaders of this year's MVP race go back and forth to decide who moves on to the conference championship and possibly a shot at the Super Bowl. Do the Bills have what it takes to stop Derrick Henry and this Ravens rushing attack? Is the Ravens secondary prepared to deal with the versatile pass catchers at Josh Allen's disposal? We're going to dive into both of these questions and a lot more as we prepare for one of the biggest and most important rematches of the 2024 season and find out which of these two teams is moving on and which team's season is over. Let's get to it. Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoy, subscribe and turn notifications on if you're new so you don't miss a video during this busy postseason, and comment down below your thoughts on how the Ravens win this game up in Buffalo. Once again, the AFC offers up some of the best football in the league, with the NFL's top two MVP candidates going at it in the AFC Divisional round up in Buffalo. With both Jackson and Allen playing at the top of their game coming into this matchup, it's going to come down to who can eliminate the most mistakes from their game. Both of these teams have been great this season, and with the Bills being the second highest scoring offense in the league and the Ravens being the third, expect to see some points in this game. But with the Ravens having the 9th best scoring defense and the Bills having the 11th, assume there will also be some in-game adjustments as well to deal with these opposing juggernaut offenses. The first aspect these defenses will face is the run game, where the Bills rank 9th in yards, 11th in yards per attempt, and 1st in touchdowns, with Cook and Allen combining for 28 on the season. The Ravens, on the other hand, will be even more of a handful with their ground game, ranking 1st in yards, 1st in yards per attempt, and 6th in touchdowns, as they lean on the Thunder and Lightning duo of Henry and Jackson, who combined for 2,836 yards during the regular season. As far as the passing game, both of these teams don't rely on any one singular pass catcher, which can stretch a defense thin while giving each quarterback more options to throw to. For the Bills, Khalil Shakir continues to be Allen's most trusted target, seeing over 6 targets per game since their bye week. In addition to Shakir, both tight ends Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox remain solid contributors late in the season, alongside rookie Keon Coleman and former Browns receiver Amari Cooper. For the Ravens, we will hopefully see the return of top wide receiver Zay Flowers, who missed the wildcard game this past Saturday. In his absence, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews continued to perform as primary targets for Lamar as they have all season. From an offensive perspective, this game will come down to the two questions that I posed at the beginning. Can the Ravens secondary handle Josh Allen and the Bills' dynamic passing game? And can the Bills stop the Ravens' seemingly undeniable ground game? The Bills' offense has been a classic case of taking what they are given, and this is evident when looking at the final 6 games of the regular season. For the purposes of previewing the Bills team that the Ravens will be seeing on Sunday, I am not including their loss to the New England Patriots in the season finale, as Allen was not under center, and that makes as big of a difference as if Lamar wasn't under center. Our main focus will be on the 5 other games, and of course their wildcard game against the Broncos. Although they averaged 166.5 yards per game on the ground during these 6 games, there was really only one game where they truly were around that average. They were mainly fluctuating between being a 200-yard run game or a 100-yard run game. What's interesting is that even in the games where they were closer to 100 rushing yards per game instead of 200, they still put up at least 40 points per game. In their wildcard game, they had a great balance of passing and running, but what really allowed this dominant performance was their defense completely shutting out the Broncos' offense after the first drive. While I can't say for certain the Ravens will completely outmatch the Bills offensively, there is a good reason to believe that the Ravens offense will put up more than 7 points in this game. Speaking of the Ravens offense, let's take a look at what has worked for them over their 5 games since the bye week. And the simple answer is running the ball down their opponents' throats while simultaneously using precision passing to punish defenses from both inside and outside the pocket. Over this 5-game win streak, the Ravens are averaging 232 rushing yards a game, 439.2 total yards per game, 32.6 points per game, while holding opponents to an average of 11.4 points per game. The 4 main reasons for this offensive onslaught are Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, the offensive line, and both Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. Lamar, for his part, has thrown for 1,057 yards, 14 touchdowns, and a single interception, with a completion percentage of 67.2% and a passer rating of 127.7. He's also averaging 7.4 yards per carry on the ground, as over the same 5-game stretch, he ran for 318 yards on 43 attempts and adding a touchdown. Derrick Henry over that same stretch is averaging 6.3 yards per carry and has run for over 100 yards in 4 of the last 5 games, totaling exactly 700 yards while adding 5 touchdowns as well. The offensive line, meanwhile, has evidently done a fantastic job opening up running lanes for both Lamar and Henry, while also protecting Lamar Jackson in the pocket quite well, allowing 5 sacks over those 5 games. This might not sound all that impressive, but considering they were facing edge rushers such as Myles Garrett, Danielle Hunter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and TJ Watt twice without allowing a single sack to any of them, I'd say they deserve praise. The final reason for a significant amount of offensive success during these 5 games is a shared spot between Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews. Bateman has reeled in 12 receptions for 206 yards and 5 touchdowns. Andrews similarly came into the 5-game stretch on an offensive tear, which he continued by catching 14 passes for 210 yards and 4 touchdowns. Over the last 5 games, the Ravens have scored 18 offensive touchdowns, and Henry, Bateman, and Andrews accounted for 11 of them. Basically, what I'm saying is that having Zay back will help the offense move better between the 20s, but these 3 are the ones that make the Ravens the number 1 red zone team in the league. And while the Bills' defense will have their hands full with the Ravens' offense, the Ravens' defense will undoubtedly be facing their biggest challenge since the Eagles back in Week 13. But while Allen and Cook present problems on the ground, and we have discussed the multiple playmaking pass catchers within the Bills' offense, I can't help but be optimistic about how well the Ravens seemingly match up against the Bills. When these two teams last saw each other, back in Week 4, the Ravens' defense were number 1 against the run, and that hasn't changed. Flash forward to the end of the season, and they still are. The Bills also had to contend with the Ravens' pass rush, which, just as it was in Week 4, is still one of the best in the league. What was changed, however, is the secondary. Not just in how well they're playing, but also who's playing. At this point, the changes made at the safety position, as well as the addition of Tre'Davious White, have clearly improved the communication and functionality of this Ravens defense. They have effectively gone from being one of the worst secondaries to one of the best in the last third of the season. Unlike in some of my other preview videos, this game doesn't come down to player versus player matchups or even star players going above and beyond in a particular area. If the Ravens play smart and mistake-free football, they have the talent and mentality to beat any team in any stadium on any given day. When these teams faced off at the end of September, nobody thought it would be the blowout that it was, and I certainly don't think this game on Sunday will be. But we have seen this Ravens team fight their way back to a win from being down, compete in shootouts against high-scoring offenses to win close games, and completely dominate opponents in several other games. My point is that if the Ravens play their brand of football, the coaches make smart decisions and play calls, and the players perform at the level of excellence that we've seen over this past month, I don't think there's another team out there that can hang with us for 60 minutes. If you guys enjoyed this divisional matchup preview, go ahead and give it a like. And like I said at the top, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss a video. Lastly, put your thoughts on how the Ravens can take this win up in Buffalo and move on to the AFC Championship game down in the comments section below. As always, guys, stay safe out there and go Ravens.